The Canon RF 300 to 600mm story is not a short one. It is a journey stretching across years. A story of whispers, shifting designs, endless speculation, and rising expectations. To understand why this lens matters so much, we need to dig deeper. We need to look at the psychology of photographers, the strategies of camera companies, and the way markets evolve. Because lenses are never just tools. They are symbols. They tell us where a brand is heading. They show us who a brand wants to serve. Let's go back again to 2019. Why was the original idea of a 200 to 500 f4 so magnetic? Because the gap in the market was clear. Nikon had already stunned the world with its 180 to 400 f4 with a built-in teleconverter. That lens proved that zooms could compete with primes in serious professional work. Wildlife shooters, sports photographers, even photojournalists saw the potential. Canon's hint of a 200 to 500 f4 felt like their answer. It promised something Nikon users already celebrated. But Canon's loyal base wanted their version. Then the waiting game began. Every year, rumors resurfaced. At first, hope was strong. Photographers thought Canon would deliver a revolutionary tool. But as leaks trickled out, the mood shifted. By the time the design had morphed into 300 to 600 f5.6, many felt disappointed. Let's break this down technically. The jump from f4 to f5.6 is not just a number. It's a fundamental shift. At f4, you are gathering twice the light compared to f5.6. That's a full stop of exposure. In bright daylight, it may not feel like much. But in dawn light, at dusk, under stadium floodlights, it matters a lot. It changes ISO. It changes noise. It changes shutter speed. It changes the keeper rate. Photographers live and die by light. A bird in flight at January 2000 of a second is frozen at f4. At f5.6, you may need to push ISO to levels where detail breaks down. That's why professionals value constant wide apertures. They want to know their gear won't slow them down. But Canon is not blind. They know this. They also know that weight is the enemy of field photographers. And here lies the trade-off. A 200 to 500 f4 would be massive. It would weigh like a prime and cost like one too. Many shooters would admire it, but few would actually buy it. By shifting to 300 to 600 f5.6, Canon probably saw an opportunity. They could still deliver reach. They could still deliver sharpness. But they could cut weight. And maybe even cut costs, though $6,500 is still a steep climb. This is where the human factor comes in. Because weight isn't just numbers. It is human endurance. Think about carrying gear on your back for hours. Hiking into the mountains for wildlife. Standing on the sidelines of a game for half a day. Every pound drains you. Your back aches. Your arms tire. Your reflexes slow. In those conditions, a lighter lens is not a luxury. It is survival. Canon is clearly gambling that enough shooters will value this trade-off. That they will accept f5.6 if it means they can shoot longer, travel easier, and still capture sharp images. It is a bold gamble, because it means walking away from the dream of f4. But in return, it may capture a wider base of real-world users. Of course, sharpness remains the deal-breaker. At this rumored price, the lens has to be razor-sharp. No softness at the edges. No drop in contrast. No excuses. Photographers are not just paying for reach. They are paying for performance at the extreme. The Canon RF 100 to 500 has already proven that Canon can deliver excellence in a zoom. So this 300 to 600 has to push even further. Otherwise, it will collapse under the weight of expectations. Now let's talk psychology. Photographers don't just buy lenses for practical reasons. They also buy dreams. A long telephoto is a symbol of power. It is a badge of seriousness. Walk into a field with a 600mm, and people know you mean business. This is part of the magic Canon is chasing. The promise of reach, the feeling of capability, the sense of stepping into a higher league. But here lies the problem. If the lens feels compromised, the dream weakens. If professionals look at it and see a downgrade from f4 primes, they walk away. If hobbyists look at it and see a price too high, they walk away. That leaves a narrow slice of advanced enthusiasts. Canon is betting that slice is big enough. But is it? Consider the alternatives. At $6,500, You could buy a used EF 400 f 2.8. Heavy, yes. But TR faster. More professional. Or you could stick with the RF 100 to 500 for a fraction of the cost. Light, sharp, flexible. The question becomes, who is the 300 to 600 really for? This tension is why the debate has been so heated. Online forums are filled with split opinions. Some say Canon is brilliant for finding a new middle ground. Others say they've built a lens for nobody. That is the danger of compromise. It can feel like balance. Or it can feel like failure. Yet, anticipation grows. Because for all the doubts, there is still curiosity. Photographers want to see the final product. They want to hold it. They want to test it in the field. Specs on paper tell part of the story. Real shooting tells the rest. Will autofocus still lock fast at f5.6? Will sharpness hold at 600 mm? Will the weight reduction really make it a joy to carry? These questions can only be answered once the lens is real. Another angle worth considering is competition. Sigma is the obvious rival here. But Sony also lurks. Sony shooters already have access to long, sharp telephotos in the E-mount system. Nikon, too, has been innovating with their Z-mount lenses. Canon cannot afford to appear behind. That's why the 300 to 600 carries so much symbolic weight. It's not just about one product. It's about proving Canon can still lead in super telephoto design. Canon also knows this lens will not exist in isolation. It will sit alongside the RF 100 to 500, the RF 100 to 300 f at 2.8, the RF 400 f at 2.8, and the RF 600 FR4. Each of those fills a different niche. The 300 to 600 will have to carve its own. Too close to the 100 to 500, and it feels redundant. Too close to the primes, and it feels compromised. That's a tightrope. So where are we now? After years of rumors, the lens reportedly exists in prototype form. Testers have seen it. Canon is expected to announce it before the end of 2025. The wait may finally be ending. But the final judgment will not be about rumors or roadmaps. It will be about results. Sharpness. Reliability. Portability. Value. Once photographers put it to work, the truth will surface quickly. One thing is certain already. The RF 300 to 600 has secured a place in Canon's history. Not because of what it is, but because of how long it has been anticipated. Few lenses have lived in rumor cycles for this many years. That builds pressure. Pressure for Canon to deliver. Pressure to satisfy both enthusiasts and pros. Pressure to prove that compromise can still be innovation. Whether Canon succeeds or fails, the RF 300 to 600 will be remembered. It will either be remembered as the lens that gave shooters a new kind of freedom, or as the lens that tried to please everyone, but pleased no one. Only time will tell. And that explains the mixed reactions. Some photographers are excited. Others dismiss it outright. Some see a balanced compromise. Others see a missed opportunity. From 2019 to today, the story of this lens has been one of shifting promises. Specs changed. Expectations rose and fell. Photographers have waded through rumors, delays, and silence. Now, with prototypes said to be in testing, the wait is nearly over. But the real test won't be in the spec sheet. It will be in the field. Sharpness. Reliability. Portability. Value. Once it lands in photographers' hands, the judgment will be swift. One thing is certain. This lens already has a place in Canon's history. Not because of what it is, but because of how long we've waited. That wait has built pressure. Pressure to deliver something special. Pressure to justify the price. Pressure to prove that compromise can still feel like innovation. Yet, doubts remain. Professionals look at Canon's other options. The RF 100 to 300 f 2.8. The RF 400 f 2.8. Both deliver unmatched performance. For those who want zoom flexibility without huge weight, the RF 100 to 500 f 4.5 to 7.1 already answers the call at a fraction of the price. That's the circle the debate always returns to. Who is this lens really for? Too expensive for most hobbyists. Too compromised for many pros. Positioned in the middle, where tolerance for compromise is lowest. That's the danger. To please no one. And yet, curiosity lingers. Some see potential. They imagine 400mm at f4 in a lens that doesn't break their back or their bank. They see value in a lighter super telephoto that doesn't reach into five-figure territory. They believe Canon may be aiming at a new audience, the advanced shooter WI. Money to spend, but not unlimited funds. Someone who wants pro-level optics, without hauling an 8-pound monster through airports. That's the story so far. A lens that began as a dream in 2019. A dream that shifted shapes, lost some shine, but never disappeared. Now, in prototype form, it exists. And Canon is expected to reveal it before the end of 2025. Will it win hearts? Or will it fall into the gap between ambition and reality? Only time will tell.